What's going on, folks? Adrian here. Welcome back to the channel for a new discussion video, and the topic this time is MMORPG periods or expansion cycles that we often get nostalgic for. So I'll go first. In the meantime, think about yours and let's trade stories down in the comments. Now, I remember having this discussion years ago in guild chat, and as an example of what I mean by MMORPG periods or expansion cycles, the most popular answer among my guildies were that they get extremely nostalgic for World of Warcraft's Wrath of the Lich King expansion, which was way back in 2008. I heard everything from how epic things were during patch week, the thriving community back then, and the list goes on and on. I can't relate, sadly, as I only started playing World of Warcraft in 2018. 10 years after that expansion's release, so when I went through it for the first time, it never impacted me the way that it did for folks back at launch. So let's dig into the archives here. First up for me would be the open beta period leading up to the launch of Funcom's The Secret World back in 2012. This was the first MMORPG outside the main one I was playing that I got seriously excited for because it was unique. Modern day, horror-themed, story-driven, it ticked a lot of boxes and I followed the game enthusiastically. When the open beta rolled around, I played pretty much non-stop and met so many awesome folks and got into an all-Illuminati faction guild. The first week of launch was by far the most fun I've had in that game. I remember the launch community mostly matured, helpful, and just having a good time, which was a stark contrast from some of the free-to-play MMO communities I was involved in at the time. The one aspect of the Secret World I always get nostalgic for is the game's tri-faction PvP mode called Fusang, and the first month after launch was pretty incredible. You had Illuminati, Templar, Dragon faction players all fighting it out on one persistent map to win global buffs for PvE. Sadly, I don't have any videos from the hours spent in there, save for this one screenshot of us Illuminati agents in Fusang, after a full day of epic battles, emerging as victors. Today, the Secret World is as good as dead, so it's kinda sad reflecting on this now. Next up, the Lord of the Rings Online, of course. Out of all the expansion cycles I've been a part of in my 10 years with Lotro, 2011's Rise of Isengard and 2012's Riders of Rohan expansions are the ones that come to mind most frequently when I think back about the good times I've had in that game. I picked those two expansion cycles for a few reasons. The first being Rise of Isengard and beyond was when I started to get into raiding. Prior, I was always afraid to give it a shot, but by some stroke of good fortune, I found a great group of folks, an alliance of guilds that took me in, and the rest is history. It's when I can remember emerging out of my antisocial shell and started doing more, like all kinds of group content, using voice to chat, which was something I hated before, and it helped that at the time, Lotro had some pretty epic raids like Drygok and the Tower of Orthanc. The other reason is that's when I started to get into the game's PvMP mode, and it had everything back then: epic fights, good old competitive drama, and it was populated as hell before the massive changes of the Helm's Deep expansion that seemed to drive the Morse crowd away. Present day Lord of the Rings Online is nothing like the past, of course, and while the game's community has kept its core DNA, which is great, every time I go back there's just something missing for me. And I think I've narrowed that down to the people that I played with. I think just like content, eras, and expansion cycles, the folks that you meet and friends you played with at the time makes up a big chunk of that nostalgia. So when they move on or disappear, a part of that goes with you too. So really, when I think of my favorite Lotro times and moments, people, faces, and in-game names are a big part of that as well. And gosh, do I miss it and miss them. Wow, that got pretty deep there. Anyway, that's my story, so it's your turn now. What MMORPG periods or expansion cycles do you often get nostalgic for? Share it with us down in the comments and let's compare notes. If you've got an MMO discussion topic to suggest for the next video, I'd be happy to hear it. Hit the like button for the love of MMOs and feel free to subscribe to the channel and click on that bell icon to get notified whenever a new video goes live. Once again, I'm Adrian and I thank you for watching.